Hey there, everybody. It's Kurt again. I'd like to introduce you to my latest project. So this project was born because I had a set of Fender custom shop pickups that I wasn't using and I needed someplace to put them. So I went to eBay and I found the absolute cheapest guitar I possibly could. So I found this little unbranded beauty for about $66. I'll put the link on the description down below, but that link may or may not be active by the time you view this. But anyway, I got a Sunburst Stratocaster copy, of course. It is unbranded, so there is no name at all on the headstock. There's nothing to see. There's really no identifying anything anywhere. I got a Sunburst Strat. It's a cheap guitar. Nothing else can be said about it. It's pretty much what you'd expect. The finish looks absolutely beautiful. I have a funny feeling that it's going to be a photo printed finish. So when we take the pick guard off, I'll take a look. But I am absolutely 99% sure it's going to be a photo finish that was glued or applied to the wood. The website says that it's a basswood body. It doesn't really say anything about the neck except that it's a rosewood fingerboard. The neck is a satin finish. It plays really very smoothly. The fretwork is really quite good. Other than that, there's not much to be said. The vintage vibrato is loose in the trem arm. It's really difficult to work. It's not smooth at all. The action at the nut is ridiculously high. The nut is not very well cut or seated very well at all. The tuners are sloppy and they stick. They don't turn very well at all or smoothly. The guitar holds tune about as well as you'd expect it to. The thing that I like about it is that it plays relatively well, even with the high action. The frets are smooth, the frets are even, the relief on the neck is really quite nice. So I'm going to upgrade a couple of things besides the pickups. So like I said, I have Fender custom shop pickups that I'm just waiting to put in. I also, from my friends over at Sweetwater, purchased Fender locking tuning machines, staggered height, so I'll be able to take out the string trees. Oops. I purchased a TUSQ nut from Graphtec, also through my friends over at Sweetwater. I'll put the links in down in the description. And then over at StuMac, I got a Wilkinson vintage vibrato. This is probably the most expensive piece that I got for the whole guitar. It's considerably more expensive than the guitar was originally, but I think this is going to be a major upgrade to the vintage vibrato that's already in there. And then also over at StuMac, they've got these new Pure Tone 1/4-inch plugs, and I thought I'd put that in there. That looked like a hefty upgrade to, I'm sure, whatever's in there now. So I'm excited to get started and rebuild this Stratocaster and see if we can't make it a player. So I'll give you some updates along the way. Thanks for joining me. At the end of this video, I'll have before and after sound clips, and you'll be able to judge for yourself if it's worth it or not. So thanks. I'll see you later. Looking inside the back cavity, there's not much to see other than the block for the tremolo arm is absolutely as thin as it possibly could be. String trees. There's an awful lot of extra sawdust and residue inside that cavity. It's very fine, so something from finishing or who knows. But the paint is solid black and it goes all the way through the inside of the body cavity. So not much to see there. Alright, let's take a look inside the body cavity. As you can see, the pick guard goes underneath the tail of the neck here, which is interesting. As I flip it over, I notice the single coils are just the absolute cheapest you could find. Looks like smaller than dime-sized potentiometers, a circuit board 5-way switch. So of course all that will be coming out and being replaced with full-size tone and volume pots and a 5-way switch from Switchcraft. And so the ground wire goes down. As I look at the grain inside the body cavity, it's certainly a solid body guitar. There's no doubt. I can see the grain on the insides of the routs, and to tell you the truth, the finish lines up pretty well with those grain marks. As they come to the surface, you can see where it was sawn through. Those grain marks might actually be real, which it's just really a beautiful finish on the guitar. So I'm going to pull out the bridge next, disconnect the leads to the jack and disconnect the ground wire to the bridge, and we'll keep tearing it apart, but so far so good. Alright, the bridge is ready to come out. I did notice that I was pulling out the screws, the 6 screws that hold the bridge in place. They were certainly not vertical. Those screws were tilted at a slight angle. They were all tilted at the same angle, which is just curious to me, but there it is. Alright, so as I pull out the bridge, it is certainly anemic. You can see that the block plate is just about as small as it possibly could be. When I compare it to the Wilkinson that I got from StuMac, you see that the holes are compensated for strings and for intonation, and certainly that's a much higher quality bridge. The Wilkinson bridge is beveled slightly where the screws go in. This has obviously no bevel at all. You can just feel the difference in quality, no doubt about it. So I'm looking forward to installing my new bridge, and that'll certainly be a fantastic upgrade. As I'm looking closer at the finish of the guitar, I do notice that there are 2 seams running down the length of the guitar, so that tells me that this is 3 pieces of wood that have been glued together, and certainly that's not uncommon in a Stratocaster. But it tells me again that this is solid wood. Again, the website says it's basswood. I'm going to take out the nut and the tuning machines next and get ready for those upgrades as well. Thanks. Alright, as I'm taking the tuning machines out, I just wanted to comment again on the finish on the back of the neck. It is definitely a satin finish, and to me it just feels so good. This is really the surprising part of the guitar for me, is just the finish on the neck. The frets again, there are no real sharp edges. They certainly could be smoothed out just a little bit. It's not going to catch your finger in or anything while you're playing, but you can definitely feel the fret ends aren't dressed perfectly, and I wouldn't expect them to be on a $66 guitar, but the frets are all seated quite well. I don't see any gaps. I don't see them coming up from the fretboard at all. They are nice and level, like I said. So all in all, you know, we're going to keep working on it. I'm not going to throw it away. I just wanted to bring you over here for a close-up on the nut. The nut is obviously plastic, and you can even see some of the burrs where the machine, when they cut the nut slots, just left plastic burrs along the edge. You can see a little bit of a glue stain on the fretboard as well, so I'm looking forward to getting that out and fitting in the new TUSQ nut. That'll certainly be a major upgrade for this guitar as well. Alright, I'm taking some time to dress the ends of the frets. So up here at this end of the guitar, you can see that, maybe you can, I don't know, but these frets are just plain cut. Right off a machine, so no filing work done, no finishing work done, they are just fresh cut. And that's where you get those sharp edges, that's where you're going to get a rough playing surface. So, using a file and my file eraser, as I work up the fretboard here, you can see some of the work that I've done. I'll still clean it up with a little bit of steel wool, and then of course polish the fretboard with some lemon oil and get it looking nice again. but the fret ends are certainly much more smooth, much more rounded, and a much smoother playing surface that isn't going to catch or isn't going to, feel like it's a rough edge. It's nice and smooth. So I'm glad I'm taking the time. The thing is that this just takes time and patience to do careful work. If you don't have the time or patience, then, well, this probably isn't for you. All right, the neck is looking much, much better. I have dressed all the fret ends, and what a great way to practice on a $65 guitar. I wasn't worried about making scuff marks or scratches, but it was a great practice for dressing fret ends. I used my fret rocker to check the level of all the frets, and like I said earlier, they were really pretty smooth. I had to file down just the tops of 3, maybe 4 frets. Again, using the fret rocker up and down the neck and then marking it with a Sharpie and then just filing off that little bit of fret where it rocks and then using the fret rocker again, and it worked great. I used my fret eraser to clean up the frets, lemon oil to condition the fretboard. I've got my Fender locking tuners in, and I only put 1 string tree in because they're the compensated height. So maybe you can see how these 3 tuners are slightly higher than these 3. So when the strings come across, the angle is less, and I only need 1 string tree to guide these strings. So I did make a mistake. When I took out the old nut, I did chip the end of the fretboard, exactly what I didn't want to do, and of course I lost the chip in my workspace. So I cleaned up the fret slot as best I could, and the TUSQ nut fit in there nice and snug, really nice and tight. So I'm not too worried. Again, it's a $65 guitar. I've got a little chip out of the end of the fretboard. I don't think it's going to really affect anything at all, except cosmetic, and it's a $65 guitar, so I don't mind too much. Gives it a little character. So I'm really pleased with the way the neck has come out. It's really feeling good. The ends of the frets are nice and smooth. Much, much better. So I'm really happy about that. On to the body. Alright, now that I've got my neck in much better shape, it's time to move on to the body. And the first thing I noticed when I set the new electronics into the body cavity, it doesn't line up quite right. So I'm going to have to take a little bit of material out of the body cavity. I'm going to have to enlarge that a little bit, and I'm just going to use a good old hand chisel. I'm not going to go all high-tech or anything. I'm just going to go low-tech and make that cavity a little bit larger so that the electronics will fit more properly, and then I'll move on to attaching the bridge. It looks like the 6 holes don't line up perfectly from the old bridge, so I'll probably need to fill some of those old holes and drill some new holes for the new bridge. So I've got some work to do. I'll move on to enlarging the body cavity for the electronics next. Alright, I've finished with the chisel and a little sandpaper. You can see I've taken an edge of the body out to enlarge the cavity there so that the new pickups will fit. I also had to trim a bit of the pick guard itself so that it would fit the neck pocket a little more accurately. So I just used my box cutter to trim a little bit of the plastic off the pick guard. Alright, well, it's certainly not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got the new bridge in place. I did use 3 of the original holes. However, these 3 holes didn't quite line up with the new bridge, so I plugged the old holes with good old toothpicks. Just put wood toothpicks in the old holes, filled them as best I could, and drilled 3 new holes in the correct spot. Then, as I was checking for range of motion of the tremolo, you might remember that the old block on the old tremolo was so thin that it had greater range of motion inside the cavity. So, because the block on the new tremolo is so much thicker, I had to again take out my chisel and enlarge the cavity in the back of the guitar. So it's not pretty, it's not lovely, it certainly has signs of wear and scratches and dings all over the place, but it's my guitar, and I'm happier with it by the moment. So it's got that lived-in look. All right, next up is going to be wiring up the electronics, and then some of the holes don't quite line up with the new pick guard. So again, I'll have to drill a few new holes for some of the pick guard screws once the electronics are wired up, but it's certainly getting closer. All right, I've got it all wired up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking forward to getting it all put back together. Just a quick note, before I do put everything back together and assemble everything, I did plug it in and just tap all the magnetic coils with a screwdriver just to make sure that they are wired correctly, checking the 5-way switch, volume, tone, making sure, just double checking, making sure everything works before you button it all up. So I did that. Everything works. It's in good shape. So now I'm working on getting the pick guard holes, the old ones filled in, and putting new ones in where I need to, and then we'll attach the neck and finally put some strings on it. We're getting closer. So far so good. Alright, I've got it back together. I've got the springs installed on the claw, new claw under the new bridge. Neck's back in place. Electronics are wired up, mounted. Lots of little scratches, lots of little dings along the way, but again, I think it just gives it a little bit of character. There's no doubt that I could have probably paid less and got a Squire and been happy with that, but this guitar certainly has hours of work in it that make it personal. So I'm pretty satisfied. I'm looking forward to get it strung up and get it intonated and get it playing. So looking good. I'll check back in with you when we're ready to go. Alright, I'm back. We're all set. This is post-mod. Again, I am using position number 2 with the bridge and middle pickup. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, I've got position 5, just the neck, a little bit of dirt. This is what it sounds like. Alright, some closing thoughts on my Sunburst Strat. So, would I do it again? Way too much work. Ridiculous. However, that being said, I really do like the guitar. It's super lightweight. The neck has absolutely a wonderful feel and finish to it. Upgraded locking tuners, upgraded nut, upgraded vibrato bridge, and of course, upgraded Fender custom shop pickups. It plays and sounds wonderfully. I really do enjoy it. However, I wouldn't do it again. Buying the cheapest guitar I could and putting an awful lot of time and energy and money into the upgrades, I'd probably just start with a better guitar and go from there. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Take it easy.